Would you send it to me?
Yeah, I kind of did because my phone is dying.
Ooh.
It's only at 4%.
Oh, how the tables have turned, bitch.
Bitch, shut the fuck up.
Oh, well, welcome back to Stark Natives. Hello, I'm Amari.
And I'm Eddie.
And we are the two voices of the week, you know, as I just said, Stark Natives. Discussing the ways of this world and the next.
Two voices.
Two voices.
Queer. Candid. Discussing the way of this world and the next.
Discussing the ways of this world and the next. Discussing the ways of this world
Candid.
and the next.
Discussing the way of this world and the next.
Discussing the ways of this world and the next.
Okay, y'all. So today, I think how I want to start this off, and we're gonna segue into some other stuff, is we're gonna talk about how Eddie has his Vogue cover that is out now, and it's I must say, and I don't want to say it, not because I don't believe it, but because this bitch does not know how to be beautiful in peace. It's a gorgeous picture.
It is so gorgeous.
It's really nice.
It's
a
gorgeous.
very nice picture.
It is.
And I'm here for it because he showed it to me last night before like it got released, and I was like, "Bitch, this is hold up."
It's gorgeous.
I was like, "Bitch, you ate this. Like you ate this. This is really cute."
Yeah. So just make sure that right here, you see this name at Potter's Primos. Just follow that page. If you like all Harry Potter stuff, all inspired stuff, go to that page and like them on Instagram. Not only that, but you will see my beautiful cover there.
Oh, girl. I can't. But,
it is something. Not only that, I do have to say this. I was taking pictures about it and everything, and I gave it to my cousin. I was not expecting for that cover to be the way
to come out as good as it did.
Yeah.
It is. It really is. And he showed me like the picture prior to it, like the editing or whatever, and you know, being placed with the words and the Vogue and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just like, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Look,
I'm for it.
The girl might be a model.
Yeah.
I don't know, Cher. The boy can dress.
The boy can dress. Wow.
So speaking of that, okay, so Eddie loves himself. We love
I
that.
do.
You know.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
So one thing that's been getting me is I was talking to Eddie about affirmation and positive affirmations for people, for yourself. And I wish, so there's this ongoing joke on the internet where there are rappers who rap and they say, you know, oh, people told me I was never going to be shit. And the joke is, your teacher never told you that you weren't going to be shit. She just told you to stand up in front of class and read.
Oh.
And it's like, bitch, one, I holler, because I think that has always been a thing for most people. It's like, bitch, having to read aloud and like read in front of class, and if you have not like completely like fluently and smoothly gotten, you know, to a place where you can read like that, because that's the thing, we're all on different reading levels, which I think is really weird. Like it's always been like that though. Like we're all on different reading levels. Even like in school, like there are people who got like a third grade reading level. There are people who got like the appropriate read level for the grade and the end. So
correct.
That's the joke, and that's what makes it so funny. I think that's why it's like hilarious as fuck. It's like, damn. But there really are people who discourage children, and there really are people who do not affirm children. And I was thankful enough to have a mother who just so happened to have been a teacher as well. And she always affirmed me. So much so that I used to resent her a little bit for it, because I felt like she was placing these big expectations on me that I felt like
that you were not going to be able to meet, or that you had to meet them because they were on.
But I am so thankful for her affirming me, and just having people in my life like my brothers and sisters and like people who just encouraged me and who were great examples for me. And I do understand my privilege in that a lot of people don't have that.
Yeah.
And that a lot of people aren't affirmed. They're like the exact opposite, where you do have people tell you that you ain't gonna be shit and that you ain't gonna go nowhere and you ain't gonna do this. And in many ways it works in two ways. It's like it can be a huge motivator,
like a positive affirmation, or it could be like a negative one.
It's like you in spite of that negative, you know, those negative things that were said to you, you try to be perfect now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
now you're trying too hard to be perfect, where you're never going to be perfect because nobody's perfect. So then you
Correct.
kind of beat yourself up in a way, and it kind of reverses that. But then there's another way it works where it becomes this thing that always is crippling you and
Mhm.
crippling your growth, because
Yeah.
you think about how people
Because
thought
then-
about you.
Yeah, you think about how people thought about you, or you think about these expectations that you are not able to meet
Mhm.
because they had these things for you, where now it's like, fuck, if I don't have this affirmation, if I don't feel secure about myself,
Yeah.
if I don't feel this good about myself, then I'm not gonna be able to meet those things,
Yes.
and then I'm going to disappoint them.
Mhm.
And you just don't want to do that.
Yeah.
That's why, like, for one time, one of my friends was trying to get me a job, and he will think, like, he will like try to talk about me and everything to them. But for me, it was like, try not to, like, don't give me that expectation, because
Yeah.
then I'm going to have to meet some expectations.
Don't put me there on that pedestal.
Yeah, that I was not gonna meet. And not only that, but I am who I am, and I'll do things the way I feel like doing them, and it's gonna be my way or the highway.
Right.
And I will do it the best of my abilities. And you should be able to be happy
Yes.
that I did it my way. That you
Right.
should be able to be satisfied that I did it my way.
Right.
And that's it. Because then if you have this type of expectation, bitch,
Mhm.
I'm going to disappoint
Yeah, it's like
you.
I set
Just
my
like
own
that.
expectations for
Mhm.
myself. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Mhm.
And I think what I see now is a lot of like retroactive affirmation,
Mhm.
like affirming of self.
Mhm.
With adults. And I think sometimes it's like you're trying to affirm yourself so much as an adult because you did not have it as a child.
You didn't have
A lot
it
of
as
things
a
stem
child, yeah.
from being
Mhm.
like children and like the things
Yeah.
that we did not get or we
Mhm.
got too much of. And it affects us. That's what it's like. We were all children once. Like no person was ever not a child.
Yeah.
Like that is a fact. None of us were just sprouted on earth as adults.
Mhm.
So it blows my mind sometimes that people don't understand the impact they have on children. And protecting a child and encouraging a child doesn't mean keeping the truth away from them, and it doesn't mean coddling them.
Yeah,
You know what I
not
mean?
coddling them. Yeah. Mhm.
It is an honesty, but it's almost like you
have to be
know
careful,
in order to
or
teach.
yeah, like you have to be careful on how you're doing it, because it's like, for me, like, I have my nephews and my nieces and everything, and my parents, my sisters and brothers, they sometimes question me why I do the things that I do.
Yeah.
And it's like, for me, it's like, I can't coddle you. Like, I can't be nice to you. I can't be like good to you just like other people, because I feel that I'm doing a disservice to you. I feel that I'm not teaching you, or that I feel that if I do this to you, then somebody is going to be mean to you, and then you don't know how to react, or you don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was doing a disservice to
Yeah.
you. So for
And
me
also you
not
don't
to
wanna
do that,
spoil 'em.
yeah, and for me not to do that, then I'm like, I have to be hard on you.
Yeah.
I have to be a mean ass bitch to you. So in that way, whenever you go into those situations,
Yeah.
you know how to deal with them.
There's a method to the madness.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a method to the madness.
There
I
is.
get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that goes with my friends. That goes with everybody that I care for. Like, I can't coddle you. Like, it's not in my nature. Like, if I coddle you, then I feel like I'm being fake to you.
Yeah.
If I
Like I'm not helping you.
Yeah,
I'm
if
not
I
contributing to you.
if I give you this positive ideas or this encouragement to be better, but I'm not doing it in a truthful way,
Yeah.
then I'm not being your good friend. I'm not being a true, honest friend to you.
Right.
So no, bitch,
Yeah.
you're gonna get what I give you. You are served by me, and you're going to eat it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Like
you'll-
one thing that irks me is like with Black people, I don't know where I'm not sure where it started.
Mhm.
I remember it a little bit from like when I was younger, because there was this poster that had the kings and queens of Africa, great kings and queens
Ooh,
of Africa.
cute.
I used to love that poster.
Mhm.
It was in my barbershop. And it was by Budweiser. And it was so weird because I never understood. I was like, what does beer have to do with kings and queens in Africa? Which in some ways it might have been a little bit of a marketing tool to
Make you buy more
sell
beer.
beer to the Black community.
Yeah.
But I looked into it, and actually the guy who they commissioned, the artist who they commissioned for the works, because they were very epic photos.
Mhm.
And he did like there were like 20 of them, of kings and queens in Africa. And they were so beautiful, and they're real kings and queens. And that was affirming, just seeing that image.
Yeah.
And those images actually, a lot of the paintings ended up going to HBCU, I believe. And they're in a HBCU. So that's really cool. But anyways, so with that, this kings and queens, it's like, oh, we're all kings and queens. We stem from kings. Let me tell you something. Is a king and a queen if they do not have subjects?
Ooh.
You cannot. Everybody can't be kings and queens.
Mm-hmm.
Let's call a spade a fucking spade.
Mm-hmm.
And the spade is black. Everybody can't be kings and queens. And that's okay. That's okay. That is okay.
Yeah.
And I understand, I get the meaning behind using the tool of affirmation and saying you
can be a
kings
king.
and queens.
Yeah,
I understand it, but I think it is a very flawed tool.
Yeah, it's a flawed statement.
Yeah,
a flawed statement.
It's flawed, and I think that it does a disservice in a way.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to let people know that there are everyday working people who are awesome people who still make impacts in people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? There are farmers who make impacts in people's lives. There are people who work common jobs or regular jobs who aren't like the Kanyes, the Beyoncés, the Jay-Z's, and that's okay. They're still impacting lives. It kind of goes back to our conversation last week about purpose. We have an idea of what our purpose is, but sometimes your purpose is not as grandiose as you want it to look.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean that it isn't. Oh, damn.
It's only a little bit of a drop. Okay.
Like, it doesn't mean that the purpose isn't grand, but it doesn't have to look as grand as you think it should.
Yes.
And I will die on that hill.
But no, you're right. You're absolutely right. And then another thing that I want to say that I really found out, and it's part of affirmation too, is when God takes out the trash, don't go digging for it.
Yeah. If that shit thrown away, let it be thrown away.
Mm-hmm.
Let it go.
Let it go.
Bag lady, you gonna hurt your bag.
Mm-hmm.
Dragging out them bags like that.
Yeah. So just let it go. And I just, one thing that I like, and I guess because I do it with myself sometimes, is I try to be very affirming with myself.
Mm-hmm.
I try to encourage myself to be better, to do things better, to do things the best that I'm able to do them, and to do it with grace, to do it with honesty, do it with a good intention. Because if I do it with those things, then that should be enough.
Yeah.
It just should be enough. But I also believe that if somebody is not able to be okay with that, then that's a personal problem. Mi amor. That's a personal problem. Okay?
Like, that's why I love
I
encouraging people. Mm-hmm. I think encouraging people is great, but I think sometimes when you give these positive affirmations and you encourage people,
you have to be careful with how you're doing it.
Tailor it to that person. Tailor it, play to their strengths. That's why it's like, I told you about the time that I've never been a math whiz. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've always been a writer. I've always been like a creative person. That has always been where I excel.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I've never been like a numbers kind of person. So that's why I think it's so weird. Like, you have these moments in your life that really kind of affirm. They affirm and confirm things about yourself where it's like, I am really fucking amazing. Mm-hmm. I remember taking the class. It was a statistics class. And I failed that class miserably. The very first time I took it, I failed that class. I had an F. And it wasn't because I didn't do the work. It was literally because I didn't do the work. Because I had just gotten to college and I was just, pussyfooting, getting my little financial aid, and I was getting way more because my classes didn't cost as much. So I was getting like a great little grand or two. So it was like, I just kind of pussyfooted. Yeah. And I failed the class. And thankfully, because I was on financial aid and that was my first time having that kind of situation, I got to take the class again. But the thing was, I failed like 2 other classes. I mean, like these and other classes. So my GPA went really low. And I ended up getting on academic probation. Even though it was supposed to be academic probation, which I don't think you're actually supposed to get suspended during academic probation, but I got academic suspension. But they called it academic probation, if I'm not mistaken. But the thing is, so I wasn't in school for like a whole semester. And during that time, you know, I rode around with my friends, drank, smoked, da. But I knew that I was going to be able to go back because I had to write these letters and I had to appeal it and do all this stuff. And when they let me back in that bitch, I was like, oh, I can't do this again. Like, I need to be focused.
Like
I
more,
need to
yeah.
do my job. I need to do what the fuck I need to do. I need to work hard. I need to study this shit.
Yeah.
But you are not a math whiz, but if you study this shit, you can damn sure retain it for the time that you need it.
Mm-hmm.
And I went back
And be
I
able
passed
to
that
pass.
class with a fucking B+.
Good.
I passed that exact same class with a B+, and I think I actually took it with the same teacher.
Yeah.
So it was like, it was so empowering for me to know that, bitch, you really did that. You studied, you had your notes, you did what the fuck you need to do, and you actually overcame something that you didn't think you could do.
Yeah.
So that's why it's like, don't ever let anybody tell you that you can't do
That
nothing.
you
Now,
can't
I
do
will
it
affirm
because-
you in that
yeah.
way. I'll encourage you in that way. Because
Not
you can
only
do
that,
anything.
but that's another thing. It's like, if people tell you that you can't do it, then prove them wrong.
Yeah.
Prove them wrong. Because the thing is, when you prove them wrong, they're going to hate you more.
Mhm.
And that's what you need to use and just be like, whatever, bitch.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Because you did what you needed to do. You proved them wrong. So you showed that you are better than them. That
Yep.
you showed that you were able to accomplish something that you thought that you weren't able to, but you did.
Yeah. And don't like insult your intelligence. Like, my thing is,
That's another
you gotta
thing.
know not to
yes.
insult your intelligence
Mhm.
and know that the human brain, a healthy human brain,
Mhm.
is capable of so
Too much.
much.
Yes.
And you
Mhm.
can retain so much information. And even if it is temporary, you know, for temporary,
For a,
it's still,
yeah,
you
like
can
you are
do it.
able to do
like,
it.
you can
Mhm.
do it.
And then the thing is that even when you're doing it for just some small amount of time, just for a temporary purposes,
Mhm.
because you did it, because you retained that moment, something will happen in the future, something later on will happen where your brain works in a very mysterious way to go back to that time
Mhm.
and gather
Yeah.
the information that you need to then
Yes.
do it, because
Yes.
subconsciously that's how the brain works.
Mhm.
And you know,
Like,
don't
I've
be
always
afraid.
wanted to, I really wish sometimes I could go back to school.
Mhm.
And so, like, I kind of want to take some classes over because I know that I would treat them differently.
True.
Like, I would
Yeah.
treat them differently. Like, I kind of do want to take, like, the SATs over. I want to take the
Mm-hmm.
ACTs over. Not to, like, take it and go to some other school or something like that, but just because I want to be able to see where I am now. Because
Like,
I know
what
I've read
would
more.
have
I know I've
changed.
learned more.
Yeah.
I know I focus more on
Mhm.
stuff like that, and I care more about it. I have a stronger vocabulary. I might know a little more. I may be a little quicker with my numbers now.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I would love to be able to take that again and study for that and see how I would do on it.
Another thing that I would like to ask is, if you don't succeed or something,
Mhm.
right? Or you fail at something, should you regret it? Should you be like,
No.
what should you be able to accept that you fail and just move on and still strive for other things?
Yeah. I think you have to assess why you failed.
Mhm.
You know? And I think it's one of those things where it's tailor-made to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And you have to know that your failures do not make you.
Mhm.
That they don't, you know, like, they don't define you. They are a part of your story, but they don't define you.
Yeah. So in essence, it's like you should be okay that you weren't able to do something as
Yeah.
a specific
It's just
thing.
a piece of your puzzle.
Yeah, and accept that you weren't able to, and that's fine, but you will be able to move on to
Yeah.
other things, because just because this is a failure doesn't mean that it defines you
Right.
forever. That
Right.
you can still move on and do
Right.
other things.
Right.
Okay.
And I think in many ways that's where you
Mhm.
and I are like, where
Yeah.
I do not like, I'm very sympathetic and very empathetic to people when they are down on themselves. And I do understand childhood trauma affects us, and that it, you know, it alters the way
defines us.
it defines us in a way, you know. I do understand that, but I don't like for people to not try
Mhm.
to be better. And I think sometimes when people think about trying to be better, they think just like trying to forget
Yeah.
instead of confronting. You got to confront these things so you can move past them. Don't
Mhm.
push them to the side because they're still there.
Because it will always still there.
You can run all you want down the
Unquestionably,
street, bitch. You turn around, that shit's still standing back there looking like.
Yeah. Because
I mean, girl, I'm
I
still here.
I go and open the door, and then I go through the stairs and multiple stairs and multiple stairs, multiple stairs. Once I get to that door, I open another door, and then I look for the box and I put it on the box, and then I go to the very end of the room, and I put that box over there in the very end, in the most darkest place in the room. And then I go back and I close the door with all these multiple locks, and then I walk all this upstairs and everything, and then I lock that door. You know, and I do that. But at the end of the day, it's always still there.
It's still there. If anything, you now made it so easily to know where it is.
Yeah.
Because you've taken all of this time and dedicated to putting it away.
Because it's still there.
That you know exactly where it is. You know
Yeah.
how many doors you got to go through. You know how many locks you got to unlock. How many keys you need. You know where it is.
Yeah,
and it's
because
there.
it's
It's like,
still
why
there.
not confront it so you can move past it and actually get rid of it?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, sometimes I hate it. Like, I just don't like to see. I don't like to see people beat up on themselves. But then I also don't like one thing. I had a situation where I had to let this person know that I'm not mad at you. I'm not disappointed in you. If anything, I'm actually mad and disappointed at the people who contributed to you feeling this way about yourself.
Yeah, okay.
Like, I'm really upset at them.
Yeah.
I'm really fucking mad that they did this to you, that they make you feel like that about yourself.
My other thing, not that I want to ignore that, because that's a very interesting thing. And, you know,
look, I'm chatting my little life away. Go ahead.
But my other thing is, what do you do when people are trying to affirm that you are a piece of shit? That you are not worth it? That you are not anything? That...
Well, it really comes with a sense of self. You kind of really have to know that opinions are opinions. Everybody has them. No matter how great it sounds, you know, no matter how much it may be a benefit to you.
Sure.
My opinion is simply that, and somebody can call you ugly. I've been called a lot of things. I've been called ugly. I've been called gorgeous. I've been called too gay. I've been called a girl, like, by kids, mind you. Like, I've had kids when I was younger. Like, I've had kids ask me, "Are you a girl?" Just because of how I was, my demeanor. Yeah. And it's just like, what the fuck? Who put this in your head?
Yeah.
But I think it did help to have a mother who affirmed me. My mama knew I was a little sweet. But you're not gonna talk about my gay ass baby. You're not gonna talk about my son, even though I didn't confirm for her that I was gay, but she knew I was not like other boys.
Yeah.
And she still defended me. So it's like, you gotta know that just because somebody let them have their opinion. Bitch, I can say the sky green. Bitch, you can look up and say, bitch, that sky is not green. Well, bitch, it's green to me.
Yeah.
Now what?
And the reason
does your life change because I say the sky's green?
Yeah, and the reason why I asked this is because I guess it's because how I am and how I see life. Is that even though words can be degrading and can harm you, it can be a sword, like the tongue of your mouth can be a sword. It's more about how you deal with that. It's more how you confront that. And not only that, but it also how you deal with yourself, how you look at yourself, how you appreciate yourself, how high you put yourself into your well-being. If you are able to see yourself in a way that is amazing, and you're able to talk to yourself in a positive way, an encouraging way, then whatever everybody else says about you is shit.
It is.
It's just shit.
It is.
Because that's how I see it.
Yeah.
That's how I've been. And this is why I feel like I'm a little bit of a cunt and I am a little bit of a bitch and I don't give a shit. But it's because I put myself in a standard where I try to put that self-esteem really high.
Yeah.
And that I maintain it to be high. So then that way I can go through life.
Yeah.
Then that way I can deal with all this bullshit that people
like. I know that your opinions are not my gospel.
Exactly.
So I love Rick and Morty. There's a Rick and Morty quote from season 4. And I think it is just like the most simple but beautiful thing I've ever heard in my life. Your boos mean nothing to me. I've seen what makes you cheer. I think that's what life is about. You got to look around and really see what people really find interesting, and just like, girl, that's basic as fuck to me. You know what I mean? Like, there are some really attractive men. You know, we saw this guy earlier. I've seen some really attractive men. I've talked to some really attractive men.
Beautiful.
But I've also seen some insecurities in them that it's like their sexiness doesn't even matter because of how broken they are.
Yes.
But it's also
and that
like,
bothers me the hell out of it.
There's a symmetry that's attractive, you know, to some people. Like, it's like I could take your face and place on somebody else, and it's the same face.
It's still the same face, yeah.
So it's almost like, if you really pay attention to the things that people find the most attractive, and it's just like, girl, that shit is basic, because there's a million fucking people that look just like this person. And that's why those people, it's the majority rules kind of thing, but it's like, what if the majority is fucking stupid? Does the majority still rule, or are you just like surrounded by a bunch of stupid fucking people that agree with each other? You know? So it's that kind of thing. Like, your boos mean nothing to me. I've seen what makes you cheer.
Yeah. Another thing that I would recommend is to go and watch Atlas. Cloud Atlas.
Yeah.
One of my favorite movies. But it deals with a lot of love and understanding. It deals with your actions and how you are going to affect somebody else's life, and not only just somebody else's life, but also your life, and how these actions that you do now will affect somebody 20, 30, 100 years later. So just look at it, you know, see if you understand it, see if you see the world in a different perspective.
Right.
And do not forget to do your daily saintly duties about following, subscribing, sharing, liking, and commenting. And if you're listening to our podcast episodes, do not forget, especially on Apple Podcasts, do not forget to leave a wonderful review and a 5-star rating. Okay? A 5-star rating. Because we 5-star
bitches. Thank you.
And at the same time, you can listen to us on SoundCloud, SoundCloud, Spotify, and Google Play.
Where now?
Yeah. Okay. Just everywhere in social media.
It's somewhere on the screen.
You can go on Google and put Stark Native, and you can find us.
And if you click our link tree in the link bio,
it will give.
It's gonna take you to everything.
Yeah, it will guide you to the way that
you will be fully
need to
immersed
be guided
into the world of Stark Natives. So I'm Amari,
and I'm Eddie,
and we are
the two voices of the week. Stark Native, our culture unfiltered, discussing the way of this world and the next.
Oh, not this.
I had to.